It's hydrangea season here at Garden Crossings, and so many of your favorite panicle hydrangeas are now in full bloom. So I thought I would take you for a tour around the greenhouse to show you so many of your favorite Proven Winner hydrangeas. We're going to be able to see in this video just kind of the stages of the plants. So some of them bloom earlier, some of them bloom later, and this will kind of give you also a good indicator of the size of how big these plants get. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the gardens and check out all of your favorite Proven Winner Panicle Hydrangeas. Starting off is the Bobo Hydrangea. This is the hydrangea that will greet you as you pull into the garden center here at Garden Crossings. Bobo Hydrangea has been planted in our parking lot beds now for over 8 years, and consistently year after year just put on a magnificent show of color. These started blooming the beginning of July, and now that it is the end of July, they're just starting to put on just a small hint of blush pink. They will continue to transform and age to even more pink as the weeks go on. These plants are about 4 foot tall by 4 foot wide, although you may find in your landscape that they'll perform just a little bit shorter, being 2.5 to 3 foot wide. But these are on drip irrigation and do get fertilizer regularly, so that does help with why our Bobos are a little bit taller than what you may see in your own landscape. Panicle, or also known as hardy hydrangeas, are hardy in zones 3 to 8. And quite often, many of them will transition to beautiful shades of pink as the flower ages. Now, I know for those of you in the south, this may not happen for you, but for those of us in the north, we do get that beautiful transition from a white bloom to a beautiful pink and or magenta bloom. This here is the Firelight Hydrangea, and the Firelight Hydrangea gets 6 to 8 foot tall and 6 to 8 foot wide. Beautiful specimen here. And this one, as the name implies, Firelight, gets fiery magenta red as these blooms continue to transition. Let's go in and take a closer look here at these blooms. Very large size blooms, and these ones too here are just starting to pinken up. But can you imagine this bloom with that full magenta coloration going on? That happens here in Michigan. This is one of my favorite. I mean, I'm going to probably say they're all my favorite. But this one I think really does a good job of getting fully dark magenta red in our landscapes here. In Michigan, the hardy hydrangeas like to be planted in full sun to part shade locations. I'd recommend for those of you in the south, probably more of a part sun situation may be better. I will say though that these are thirsty plants, and it is important to make sure that they are getting enough water to keep this beautiful look going on. So here is a mass planting of the Little Lime Punch hydrangeas. Little Lime Punch gets 3 to 5 foot tall and 3 to 5 foot wide. You can see these are starting to transition with color, and this is just a fabulous plant here in this garden. This planting was planted about 3 years ago, so this gives you kind of the 3-year size of Little Lime Punch. These are about 3.5 foot tall right now. So I do anticipate that they'll probably get another 1.5 to 2 foot tall. Little Lime Punch really has been a beautiful plant. This is the 2nd year that they really had a lot of just florific blooms going on, and the coloration is just stunning. The thing I like about this plant is, you're noticing there's a lot of white and a lot of pink. So the stages of which these flowers are transitioning to that pink color is kind of all over the board as far as this plant. It's not like they're all changing at one time. So I think it's really pretty where you're getting the splashes of white and the splashes of pink all going on here at the same time. Now, as all these flowers do continue to age and transition, it's just going to be a beautiful plant full of the bright pink blooms. But look how stunning that is in the landscape. Just a nice tight ball full of color, and it really is vibrant. Planted not only in mass, like you're seeing here, of course, mass is always better, but even if you're just looking at one singular plant puts on a fantastic show of color. If you're looking for more of a lace cap flower form, Pinky Winky would be a good selection. So Pinky Winky gets 6 to 8 foot tall and 6 to 8 foot wide. And as you can see with these beautiful lace cap blooms, it's a pollinator's dream. Here we have a bee actually enjoying it right now. So because it's more of a lace cap and not as many florets, it does offer more opportunity for the pollinators to enjoy this plant in the garden. You can see these beautiful long white cones will transition to a beautiful pink color, as the name implies, Pinky Winky. And basically how that happens is the lower petals of the flowers start to transition to pink, and as this flower continues to age, that pink will continue all the way to the tip. So if more of a lace cap looking hydrangea is more your style, Pinky Winky or Pinky Winky Prime would be a good choice for you. Here we have the most iconic hydrangea in the garden. This is the Limelight Hydrangea. And a lot of people, when they're referring to a panicle hydrangea, they'll ask for Limelight. Not that they're necessarily asking for Limelight specifically, it's just the name they know that is associated with this type of hydrangea. Limelight gets 6 to 8 foot tall, and in some situations even taller. I have one that gets up to 10 foot tall. Limelight is a great plant. It's been around for several years and is enjoyed by many gardeners. Limelight has been refined with a new variety called Limelight Prime. Limelight Prime gets only 4 to 6 foot tall and 4 to 5 foot wide, so just a smaller habit than the original Limelight. Another thing you'll find with Limelight Prime is the flowers are more upward facing. So if you have a big garden space, maybe Limelight would be good for you, or if you have a more smaller refined garden, Limelight Prime may work better for your situation. As you'll notice, these beautiful lime flowers will soften up and take on a dusty pink hue as they continue to age through the summer. With the series of hydrangeas we're going to see today, Limelight is going to be one of the last ones to take on that pink coloration. And do you see that monarch butterfly that keeps kind of showing up in the picture? He's been enjoying these florets as well. Panicle hydrangeas bloom off of the new growth. So if you feel you need to do any trimming on your plant, they can be done in the fall or in the spring. They're very reliable bloomers, and you don't need to worry about intense winters killing off your buds because the buds are formed on the new growth. This beautiful grouping here is Firelight Tidbit. These are the smallest plants in the collection we're going to talk about today. Firelight Tidbit gets 2 to 3 foot tall and 2 to 3 foot wide. It's a very nice compact size for if you're looking to do patio containers or you just have small garden spaces. There's a hydrangea literally for any size and any type of garden. Firelight Tidbit is going to take on a beautiful fiery red bloom, much like the Firelight we saw earlier in the video. So if you're looking for something small but yet has nice full coverage of blooms and will give you that hydrangea enjoyment, Firelight Tidbit is definitely top on the list for those with smaller size gardens. Quickfire Fab is one of the earliest ones to transition to the beautiful pink and magenta coloration. Quickfire Fab gets 6 to 8 foot tall and 6 to 8 foot wide. The one we're looking at here in our garden has been planted for approximately 3, possibly 4 years. Right now it stands about 5 foot tall. Quickfire Fab has really huge blooms on it, and they transition to just the most magnificent bright pink coloration. As you can see, there's a lot of pink starting here right now on the Quickfire Fab, and check out that bloom. Look how big that is, a really large bloom size. As with all the hydrangeas, we do recommend that they get plenty of water, so be it you have drippers or a sprinkler system or something. It's best just to make sure that they get plenty of water to keep the flowers looking fresh and vibrant. Pufferfish is the newest in the collection. Pufferfish is a beautiful, big, white, kind of airy feeling bloom. And what's really unique about pufferfish is look at the tip. See how there's that little tip on there like that? That's unique to pufferfish. Pufferfish is one that is going to go from kind of a limey flower color to beautiful white. Pufferfish is not going to transform into the pink shades that most of the others will. Pufferfish gets 3 to 5 foot tall and 3 to 5 foot wide. These pufferfish were planted last summer from a 1-gallon size container. Right now they're about 2 foot tall by 2 foot wide and just covered in large, beautiful blooms. The little Quickfire here in this bed were planted last summer from a 1-gallon size container. This was actually the first one to start blooming here in this space, and you can see all of these blooms. They started off white and then they transitioned to a beautiful magenta coloration. This plant, now that it's done blooming, it's put on a lot of growth, and much to our surprise, or maybe I shouldn't say to our surprise, but much to our pleasure, look at here, there are more buds. So this plant is going to bloom again a little bit later on with a second round of flowering, which is coming off of all of this new growth. So the original blooms down there came off of the growth that was here from last year, and as this plant has shot up with additional growth, it's going to give us an additional bloom this season. Little Quickfire is really pretty. When you look closely at the stems, you can see they've got a nice red coloration to them, so that's kind of an added feature of this plant. Also, being that it has more of that lacy type flower, this is a great selection if you are looking to create a pollinator garden. Standing 3 to 5 foot tall, the little Quickfire Hydrangea is a perfect companion for the Pufferfish Hydrangea and the Little Lime Punch Hydrangea, which all get 3 to 5 foot tall at maturity. I hope you found this Panicle Hydrangea comparison video informative. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you're new to our station, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.